singing this. Down there. Beautiful. I've got my hopes set high. That's why I came tonight. I need to see the truth. I need to see the light. I've got my hopes set high. That's why I came tonight. I need to see the truth. I need to see the light. 'Cause I can do my best and pray to the Father. But the one thing I ought to know by now, when it all comes down, when it all comes down, if there's anything good that happened in life, it's from Jesus. Just with each other. And I thought, this is going to be a fantastic night. I mean, they're having fun. It matters not if we walk out on stage. And I love how y'all met each other, and I was so curious about my gender breaking. What was that? I mean, there's some frontiers I have not approached yet. I was just thank you so much for the suggestions. That'd be a great food for thought. We're so glad you're here. I've made music for over 40 years. I started writing songs in my early teens, and I hope you play something you want to hear tonight. We're going to jump back to the 80s right now with a story song that I wrote with Michael W. Smith and Gary Chapman, and I think that was it. That song, I could not have made it through without my friends singing over here, so I'm going to introduce you to all of them. On your far left, Miss Tatiana Hencheroff. And her partner in crime, Miss Kim Keys. And on guitar and vocals, Mr. Gene Miller. Study in sleep deprivation. I had 2 small children, and I was pregnant during a lot of the writing of that record, and then I had my baby in the studio, and then I wrote about her, and then we toured, yeah. And Millie was potty trained on a bus, learned to walk on a bus. I mean, it's like, ooh, what kind of therapy has she needed? But she survived, and so July was the big, woo, 30 years ago, and you know, July 4th, she announced to our whole family that she was carrying a baby girl. So it's really made the reminiscing feel so immediate, you know, and she's, yeah, she went to the doctor today, and so far so good. The opening song of that record we're going to do for you now, it's a song called Good For Me, and I wrote those lyrics with Wayne Kirkpatrick, and you know, I mean, sometimes, whew, that second verse is like, what can we write about, what can we write about? And anyway, we decided to just to include Mario Andretti's name in the song. And anyway, so I'm kind of a slow mover, you know. One time, Vince and I were getting ready for a gathering, and he's always ready like 30 minutes early. Just, you know, I just squeak in right under the wire. And anyway, so he's just kind of gently walking through the room, seeing if I'm closer to being ready. I said, "Phew, I am sorry my pace is so slow." And he said, "Babe, I think to call it a pace, there has to be some forward movement." But that's why the mention of Mario Andretti was so appropriate, because, like, you know, I'm like gear 1. Had I been a pot smoker, I would have been in reverse. So we put Mario Andretti's name in the second verse. And do you know, because of that, I was invited to the Indy 500, where Mario Andretti was racing the next spring. I couldn't believe it. I was so excited. 3 Andrettis were in that race, and
And the racing team at that time was owned by Paul Newman, who I got to meet like down in the pit, like this close. Man, he was beautiful. And anyway, and then I'm taken up to the box, you know, where they have like an indoor, outdoor, and I know no one, and so I'm like meeting people, trying to be polite, eating all the fantastic food. I was pregnant again by then. And anyway, and then the race started. And you know, the racing community is so superstitious. So when the first Andretti car crashed and parts of it flew up into the box, you know, you can see this tight-knit group going like, like looking around. Then the second Andretti car wrecked. And then the third Andretti car just ground to a stop in the last lap. Never crossed the finish line. Yeah, guess who was never invited back? But I still sing the song and remember that day. I will. Time with each other. So good to see you. It's so good to see your face. And because our schedule got completely just... thank you for those of you that held on tickets since 2019. But, wow. Thanks. I'm gonna tell you, it speaks volumes that you showed up. And yeah, it says it all. And by the way, this theater is glorious. It's so beautiful. You know, your whole town is really just so lovely, and even we got a little glimmer of sunshine today. It was just so gorgeous. And between the band and the crew, we have explored everywhere. And anyway, so I wish we had longer to be here, but time. But one of the gifts of COVID was getting to participate with a creative project called Faithful. And I would have been on the road, I would have missed the whole thing. But I had actually reached out to a few people in the music business, creative business, and I said, I am just missing community. I'm really missing community, creative community. And I was invited on 6 different days to Nathan Tasker's house. He and his wife and his family opened their home. So many women converged on that house. Songwriters, authors, bloggers, performers, podcast hosts, just people in the communicating arts. And we would show up and have breakfast. Of course, it's just so much chatter, you know, women, we can talk. But then we divide up in 2s and 3s, and we were each given a few verses from the Bible that described a woman, named or unnamed, fabulous life, awful life, just all these different women in the Bible. And the 3 of us would start talking about her, about the culture of the time, about what she was facing, about her role kind of in the epic story of redemption that God began telling in the beginning of time and continues to tell through us. And then through the day, we collected our thoughts that became lyrics that we put music to, and then after dinner, we performed our songs for each other. It was unbelievable. It was one of the most beautiful experiences I have ever been a part of. Anyway, so I will forever be grateful to the Tasker family for welcoming all of us in and providing a place for us to be creative. And anyway, and Nathan and I, we're getting to know each other as we do when we live life and get shoulder to shoulder with things that we believe in. I'm so glad that he's on the road with us. And I've invited him to come out and tell you about another passion that we share. And so please make welcome my friend Nathan Tasker.
Thanks so much. Thank you all. Oh, it's great to be here. And I echo everything that Amy just said. Holy smokes, this place is incredible. We have loved being in Bellingham. Thank you for making us feel so welcome. We've eaten at Old Town Cafe. I've drunk too many lattes at Canberra Coffee. I went to Henderson Books and got lost. Really did actually get lost. Loved every minute of it. You guys have a gem here. Some of you will have realised I'm actually not from around these parts originally. I'm from the deep south. From Sydney, Australia. And I love to ask every night, are there any Australians here this evening? That was very disappointing. Anybody here been to Australia? Awesome, 7 of you. The $1 million question, anyone here want to go to Australia? Awesome. I gotta tell you, I'm a very patriotic Australian, although it turns out the only time I'm not a patriotic Australian is when I go to the Outback restaurant. I'm not sure if you've been to that place, it's a sham. Okay. But no Australian has heard of a bloomin' onion before we come to America. That's just weird, right? You know, it is such a joy to be with you tonight, especially to be able to follow such an incredible song, The Children of the World, and to hear Amy speak. And I've heard Amy share this before, and it has impacted my life and my home life. The idea of making room for one more at your table. One of the reasons we loved hosting everyone at our house is because that has become one of our mantras as well. Something we want to do as a little family, welcome everyone at the table. And you know, this is something that Amy has been doing for a long time, not just literally in Nashville, but also throughout the world, virtually, by being a part of an incredible organisation that we both love called Compassion International. Compassion is a child sponsorship organisation, some of you may have heard of it, where in the developing world, children suddenly get to receive things that we in America and in Australia take for granted. And they start to receive these things, these children living in extreme poverty. It is life-changing. It is eternal life-changing. Now, I know some of you have probably heard of Compassion before, maybe at church, maybe at an Amy Graham concert, and you might have actually thought to yourself, you know, that sounds pretty awesome. I should do that sometime. Can I suggest that tonight, in Bellingham, tonight's the night. It will never get any easier to change a child's life to this evening. You see, in the lobby, next to the merchandise, we have a table set up. And on that table are some children's packets, just like this one here. Each packet is unique for the child inside it. They're not mass-produced, they are not duplicated. In fact, it is a one-to-one relationship with that child. They write letters to you, you get to write letters back. It's magnificent. Inside each packet is information about that child, where they're from and what their life is like. But I want to point out that every child tonight, I'm holding up little Diana, she's from Tanzania and she is 6 years old. And inside each packet there is information about the child, but there is a special stamp on the front. You see, on this tour we are very fortunate to have the neediest children in Compassion with us. Something like
Man, you guys are fantastic. Thank you. Pulled me through that one. Oh man, I knew I had a song. I just wanted to stretch my legs. Mostly I just wanted to see everybody standing up. Because music's meant to be at least swayed to. So let's sway this last song together, shall we?